Joel Miller is no saint, and that is probably why the character is so memorable. He's a troubled man who has faced cruel circumstances which forced him to commit morally questionable acts. However, in my opinion, most of those acts are either justified by self-preservation or by his desire to protect those dear to him who are still alive and breathing. Hi everyone, my name is Gabriel, and today I will dive into what makes Joel Miller one of the most memorable protagonists in fiction, even though he is not virtuous all the time. At the beginning of the story, we are introduced to Joel as a single parent, overworked but still caring and willing to do what he could to take care of his daughter Sarah. They seem to get along quite well, even though he is probably not as present as Sarah would like him to be. This reflects the real struggles of being a single parent, balancing family, work, and societal expectations. It is a difficult and relatable situation for many in real life. At the start of the virus outbreak, when chaos erupted and people began turning into infected, we see Joel doing everything he can to keep his daughter safe, even killing a neighbor who, after being infected, broke into their house. One notable detail is that Joel already had a gun stored at home, which reflects his concerns for protection and self-preservation, even before the apocalypse had begun. He did not hesitate to shoot the neighbor once the threat was imminent, which shows, in my view, that his survival instincts were already top tier. And following this, Joel attempted to escape to a safe place with his brother Tommy and his daughter, driving toward the nearest city. On the road, however, Tommy hesitated when they passed families pleading for help.
Let's see what they need.
Who do you think you're doing? Keep driving.
I got a kid, Joel. So do we.
But we have room.
Keep driving, Tommy.
But Joel refused to stop and insisted they keep moving. From the start of the game, Joel is not portrayed as a virtuous hero, but as someone with the instincts and skills to ensure his own survival and that of his loved ones. He could not care less about strangers, but despite prioritizing survival, Joel ends up losing his daughter on the first day of the outbreak. This is really an heartbreaking scene. She is shot by an officer blindly following orders who did not even take the time to properly analyze the situation. Sarah's death is a violent and raw moment that shapes Joel's mentality for years to come. It makes him understand that the world has changed into one that now requires violence and strength as essential tools for survival. 20 years later, Joel is a scarred 50-year-old man who appears to have endured unimaginable circumstances and done horrific things to survive, from stealing, mugging, and even murdering people. This is evident in several scenes in the game, such as when Joel interrogates two men to find Ellie.
You wait here. Now, the girl. Is she alive? What girl? I don't know no girl. Focus right here, right here. I'll pop your goddamn knee off. The girl.
Or when he tells her about the ambushes he and Tommy carried out to rob people. These are certainly not the acts of a morally virtuous man, even in an apocalyptic scenario, but they are what allow them to survive for so long. Throughout the story, we see more events that reinforce the idea that Joel is not a good person. However, as I mentioned earlier, he is an exceptional survivor. For example, early in the game, Joel and Tess kill a man named Robert and several of his men due to a business dispute. While you could argue that this was partly self-defense, since some of Robert's men had already assaulted Tess earlier, the brutality of Joel's and Tess' actions cannot be ignored. When Joel later is introduced to Ellie, he initially refuses to escort her to the Fireflies and has to be convinced by Tess. Despite being promised a reward by Marlene and learning that Ellie might be immune and the key to a cure, Joel shows little interest in that. He only sees escorting Ellie as a high-risk and low-reward mission. Even after agreeing to escort Ellie as part of his final promise to Tess, Joel spends much of the journey with Ellie trying to distance himself from her emotionally. He is still heartbroken over the loss of his daughter and fears going through a similar loss once again. I can't really blame him about this, because taking care of a child in such a cruel role is a terrifying prospect. Beyond his violent and self-serving tendencies, Joel also struggles with close relationships. The story reveals he parted ways with Tommy years earlier due to unresolved issues between them. Yet, despite his flaws and the violence he is shaped by, Joel is capable of goodness throughout the story. We grow fond of him because, as a morally grey character, he has one of the most compelling traits in fiction. He feels just human. Inevitably, during his journey with Ellie, Joel begins to care deeply for her. However, we see him wrestle with these feelings.
Not her, you know.
What?
Maria told me about Sarah.
Ellie? You are treading on some mighty thin ice here.
I'm sorry about your daughter, Joel, but I have lost people too.
You have no idea what loss is.
Everyone I have cared for has either died or left me. Everyone fucking except for you. So don't tell me that I would be safer with someone else, because the truth is I would just be more scared.
You're right. You're not my daughter. And I sure as hell ain't your dad.
But even with those arguments, at a certain point in the story in which Joel had planned to leave Ellie with Tommy and Jackson to let him escort them to the Fireflies, he ends up choosing to continue the journey himself, ensuring her safety and perhaps seeking closure to the ordeal. At this point, what neither Joel nor Ellie expected was that the journey was about to become even more dangerous. Joel got severely injured in a fight with some thugs, and he and Ellie barely escaped. This is one of the most intense moments in the story, and Ellie uses everything that Joel has taught her, from basically how to move in a dangerous situation to how to use a gun, to get them out of there alive. During the harsh winter that follows, Ellie takes care of an injured Joel while also protecting herself. While this chapter focuses heavily on Ellie's growth, it is also transformative for Joel in my view. He realizes that Ellie has become able to care for others, outsmart dangerous people, and show brutal resilience when necessary. Their bond solidifies and Joel begins to see Ellie as a gift, something precious in this otherwise bleak world. After Joel recovers, their relationship becomes more relaxed and affectionate. Joel finally lets his guard down and embraces Ellie almost as a daughter. When they reach the Fireflies, the ending unfolds as we know it by now. Joel discovers that Ellie would be sacrificed for a potential cure with no guarantees of success, and true to his character, Joel refuses to let this happen. The same man who at the start of the outbreak ignored families begging for help on the road will not sacrifice the person now he loves the most. Joel kills dozens of Firefly soldiers and even executes Marlene to ensure no one comes after Ellie.
Wait! Let me go. Please.
You just come after her.
His actions are brutal and controversial, but in the harsh world of The Last of Us, they seem somehow justified. Afterward, Joel lies to Ellie about what happened, telling her the Fireflies abandoned their plans for a cure. While Ellie eventually learns the truth in the second game about what happened, Joel also admits in a conversation with her that he never regretted his choice.
You're such an asshole.
I'm not trying to.
I was supposed to die in that hospital. My life would have fucking mattered. But you took that from me.
There's somehow the Lord gave me a second chance at that moment, I would do it all over again.
He admits he would do it all again, and this unwavering conviction is part of what makes Joel so compelling as a character to me. Joel is definitely morally questionable. He is a deeply flawed man shaped by his circumstances, but his choices, even his brutality, feel justified in a world as cruel as his. He feels human, real, and relatable to some point. This is why, in my opinion, Joel Miller is one of the most interesting and well-written characters, not just in gaming, but in fiction as a whole. And thank you so much for watching this video. It was a lot of work to prepare it and edit the video, so if you enjoyed it, please do not forget to leave a like, it helps me a lot, and subscribe if you want to see more similar content from me. Thank you very much once again, and see you next time.